Hello everyone, it's Alex here from Wolford Weekly, and it's time for this year's tier list from me, myself. This will be my third year of doing this. None of the amateur stuff that Rob and Ben's been throwing at you this year. Oh no, I'm an old pro at this now, so you can guarantee that this one will be the one that is accurate and completely right. However, I'm sure that you'll disagree with me 100% of the way, and if you do, either comment below and let me know, or find it on bit.ly/EETier2021. Linked also in the show notes below. And then you can make your own tier list and post it to us on our Twitter at Wolford Weekly, or our Instagram, or our Facebook group. All the details are probably flashing all over the screen right now like some kind of arcade machine. One disclaimer, that is, this is my tier list, so if I am wrong in your mind, that's because I have a different mind to you. Also, one more rule is that all the characters on this year's tier list has appeared on the show for 10 or more episodes as from when we took the list, which was the middle of December this year. There is one honourable mention that I'll keep as a nice little surprise for you at the middle of the show. Put my teeth in, get it right, here we go. We're going to start with characters that have appeared the least to the most. First one out the pot then is Ian Beale. Appeared in only 10 episodes. He messed up everything, and him and Sharon, I mean, there was that brilliant scene, I suppose, when him and Sharon had it out in the Vic, and you know, and he kind of just skulked around. I'm going to give him a better luck next year. Adam Woodyard will return next year, which he probably won't, but I feel it's unfair for me to rate him because it was the tail end of his story right at the beginning of the year, and the main part happened, and so then it was just for kind of like the fallout, the aftermath. He was only in it like now and then, and he kind of felt a bit sorry for himself. And as I say, I think the biggest thing he did was leave via the tube station. I'm half expecting, if he does return, to come back as a tramp. That would be fun. Or a millionaire. Maybe he's made his millions somewhere else. Maybe he's gone to visit Dottie Island. Who knows? Anyway, better luck next year. And that is to say, if he does return next year. Next is the first new character on the show, which or this year's tier list, which is Aaron Monroe. I mean, he's come in with quite a powerful punch. Really interesting character. Really enjoying his storyline. He's one of those characters that I absolutely despise, I absolutely hate, but not because I don't like him. I love the character. It's just that he's portrayed so well that he is just really enjoyable to watch. I'm going to give him Sharon's 995 exit, which is quite an accolade, really, for someone who's just started on the show. Yeah, he deserves that. And I mean, depending where his story goes, I think he could really notch it up to the top next year. So we'll see. Right, Big Mo left also. So another exit. Mo was Mo, wasn't she? She just kind of was there. She kind of had a few silly stories. She gave Jean the plot of Pot in her garage, which was random. But, you know, although she had a fun exit, I don't think that she really did much on the show near her end, and so I'm going to put her down as meh. What happened. I don't think we're going to see her back, so she exited with a meh. Next up is the reincarnation of Liam Butcher. If you listen to the podcast, I don't hide the fact whatsoever that I despised the new Liam Butcher. I really didn't like him at all. I really didn't get on with him. I didn't think he was fun to watch. They tried to make him cheeky, that failed. They tried to make him evil, that was so out of character for him. It just didn't work. Constantly like he was sucking on a bumblebee all the time. It just really irritating. Really didn't like him whatsoever. I hope he doesn't return, quite honestly, or if he does return, perhaps with a bit of more character development and a bit more conversations of what really Liam should have come back as. He's my very first to pop into Wolford CCTV, which is right at the bottom of my tier list, I'm afraid. Again, another exit coming up then. Max Branning, 18 episodes. The strange thing with Max Branning this year is the moment he left the show was the moment where his story became interesting, which was insane. I mean, he left with a Julius theme, quite rightly. Everything that's interesting about Max's character is all happening off screen now. I said, like, near the end of Max's life that he was becoming boring and there wasn't much they could do with him, and I think the Linda story was a bit strange. And so, with that in mind, I'm going to put him as meh. And returning character again, Lucas. Lucas came back. Everyone thought he was going to come back as a serial killer. killer. He didn't come back as a serial killer. He ended up doing the honourable thing and taking the blame for Chelsea's problems and ending up going back to prison again. I mean, it was strange they brought him back, to be honest with you, just for that one story. And it didn't seem to... no one really knew what was going on. It was one of those stories... It's something about the era where stories which we want to see more of end very quickly. Stories we don't particularly care about or could quite easily be done in a week, in a special week, loads of episodes, stretch out so thin, it's exhausting. And Lucas's story felt that way. Some of the scenes with Denise not including any slow motion or special effects were good, so I'm going to put him down as meh. And I've just realised who's next. Now, this is a crime that they killed off Kush. Kush should never have been killed off. The fact that his death, let's be honest, has had absolutely zero effect whatsoever onto the outcome of the story that it was meant to have affected, which is Grey's story. Kush was fodder for that story. Disgraceful. He was a good character. He was a safe character, safe pair of hands character, but a character and an actor who could portray stories very well. He had so much more he could give to the show. I don't believe the actor wanted to take a rest because he then moved straight on to Holby City, a show that's now been cancelled. Just a crime, an absolute crime they got rid of Kush. And for that very reason, I'm putting him up as Julia's theme, because there was nothing wrong with him. Nothing wrong with him at all. And I just think the potential was there for him to stay on, to keep on the show. And also, another thing that annoys me is that means that we don't think we're ever going to see a return of Carmel, which is horrible to think about because I loved Carmel. Next up, Harvey Monroe. Harvey has, yet again, the Monroes have been a very good family that they've introduced into the show, and he has been great. He's been good. A bit reserved to begin with when it was just him and Dana. I think it's a bit unfair if I put him in there, so I'm actually going to give him a better luck next year. With the Monroes as a whole unit, that he could potentially have a lot more going for him. Maybe with Jean, maybe a story with Jean, perhaps going further down the line. And we can learn more about his wife as well, and Dana and Aaron's mum. There's that Pandora's box that's yet to be smashed open and we can learn more about. So better luck next year. But that's not a slight on your character at all. I love your character. I love the Monroes. I want more. So I'm excited, very excited. Mila has been a bit of a casualty of, first of all, a casualty of something I've already mentioned, which is they took a story which they publicised as being very important. First time any soap's ever done it. It's very exciting. We're doing it for the first time ever. It's going to be brilliant. Oh my God, mind's blown. Tell all the press, tell everyone who's listening, tell Twitter, tell the world. And then they put it down to like 2 episodes that, an FGM story, which they could still be doing now, and we could still be learning more about like what her mother had done to her. She could visit her in prison. I think they mentioned that they're going to visit her in prison with her sister, but I don't think that happened. It all happened off screen, and then just a passing comment was given to Iqra by Mila later on. So a character that had so much more to give, and as much as I would love to put her into Better Luck next year, I worry that there isn't going to be a next year, which again is a crime. So I'm going to base it on what's happened this year with her. And sadly for me, her story has just been incidental music, which it shouldn't have been, because as I say, a story, FGM, from what I got the impression of, everyone was very interested in learning about and seeing more about and like really opening up the story with, and nothing, just forgotten. So the next character is Janine, and everyone got very excited that when she got announced, and it was timed so perfectly as well after Kush had died and everyone was in uproar about that. Really softened that blow, so well done press team, that really helped us out. But she's come back, and she's just kind of come back with a bit of a meow rather than a roar. I get that you need to build up Janine, but he hasn't done that yet. Perhaps I wanted her to come in with a bang, and it's not quite given me what I wanted, and so maybe for selfish reasons I'm maybe putting her in this section, and that is meh, because she's not done what we hoped she would do, or what I personally hope she would do. But then I think next year she will, but then I'm not sure she will, so that's why I don't want to put her in Better Luck next year, because I unlike Harvey, where I'm sure next year there's a lot to go on with him. I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like, I don't know. It feels like they're wasting the character and they need to do something with her, and I worry that they won't. So as much as I want her to have a better next year, for now she's in meh. And we're now talking about Dana. Dana is a brilliant character. As I say, Monroes, love the Monroes, love the Monroes. I love her with Bobby. Bobby and Dana's relationship is fantastic. Really enjoy their relationship a lot. I wonder if I should pop her in the same section as Harvey, because again, they could have such a good story with the family. And I don't want to put her in meh, but I don't think she's quite done enough just yet for Sharon's 995 exit. So she's going to go into Better Luck Next Year. But again, that's not to discredit what she's done already, because what she's done already has been great, as it has for Harvey. But Better Luck Next Year, because basically it's my way of saying give the Monroes lots and lots of stories next year. Stacey, her character has been kind of like destabilised purely based on maternity leave, which is not Lacey Turner's fault whatsoever. It's just that, you know, it's been difficult to kind of give her a kind of like a main plot story. So her main of the year was kind of to wind up Ruby, be angry, get accused for pushing Ruby down the stairs and then going to prison. And I mean, for the basis of that, it was fine. But we just know that Stacey could do so much better and so much more. So I think that she is also a candidate for my Better Luck Next Year too, because I think, especially with Jean as well, and especially with the Slater family, I mean, yeah, I just feel together they could do more. Better luck next year for you, Stacey. I might sum up my feelings maybe once I've done the full tier list, but at the moment I feel like everyone's being dumped into Better Luck Next Year at the moment, which could be based on the producer of the time. I don't know. Moving on. Iqra, it's the same with Mila. I mean, why don't they show... I think, again, this is an argument I made last year and potentially the year before. Why don't they show more of Iqra's relationship? When she was with Ash, they never showed their relationship. Now she's with Mila, they never show their relationship. There's a lovely relationship there and something I want to see. And also a family there. You know, similar to Lexi and Ben and Callum, there's, you know, the Mila and her sister who could be cared for by Mila and Iqra. And I'd like to see that. And also Iqra is rattling around that big house all on her own, so she could, you know, it's set up really for a family. But there is a hint to say that she's leaving the show, be it in a body bag or in a black cab, we don't know. So I can't really champion a Better Luck Next Year for her, so I have to really do it on the basis of what we've seen. I don't know for certain she's leaving, but obviously she made that little tidbit when she went, oh, Bob's, I've got a job working in a hotel. It seems to me that she's going. So on the basis of that, she just didn't do anything of it that was interesting. She's incidental music. Vi Highway now, Rob and I kind of differ on our opinion with this. Rob is a huge champion of Vi. For me, she just seems very shouty and very kind of a bit one-dimensional. That story where she had the child when she was older would be very interesting if, yet again, they would divulge some more information to us, which we don't seem to be privy to anymore because they just decided to just forget it. She ran away, didn't she, I believe. And also I'm wondering how it's going to get lost within Stuart and Rainie's news story with Stuart's breast cancer that's just come out in recent months. So, you know, whether it's going to kind of get passed over. I hope it doesn't get passed. Imagine if they just pretend it never, like Vi left and then comes back and says like, oh, I met my kid now and I'm at one now. I'm quite happy and content that that's okay now. It's all settled, water settled. Now I'm just going to make really ridiculous comments and shout it across the cafe or the pub every now and then. Vi's not really a character that I have warmed to just yet. That's not to say I won't. And so technically I should give her a Better Luck Next Year because I think that she's got a chance for me to warm to her. And this is what I mean. I'm putting a lot of people in Better Luck Next Year this year. She's a new character. Better Luck Next Year. She should have more to do, as should this next character, Ash, who unfortunately, and I'm going to say this right now, isn't going to get a Better Luck Next Year because I am going to rate her on the stories that she had. She's obviously training to become a doctor. She's messed it up on at least 2 occasions that are popping into my head right now. One of them down to Peter Bill screaming and shouting that he needs drugs. If you give Peter Bill an inch, he will will take a mile and then some. He's just an awful person. Just a little prelude to what's coming up on him in the tier list in a second. I feel like that she's just not had a great year, and her stories they've just been kind of like stories of the day. Like, they've just kind of lasted one day and then moved on. I mean, there's so much more they can explore with Panesars. Again, I'm repeating myself, broken record time. The Panesars I thought was going to be their year this year, really hasn't been. I really thought there was going to be a real dominance for the Panesars. It's not happened. Don't know why, because it should have. The building blocks are there for them to be an interesting family. They've just been forgotten about, almost watered down, which is very frustrating. But alongside her brother Vinny, unfortunately, they are possibly the most uninteresting Panesars, which I don't want to sound unfair, but they are. I'm going to give her meh, because at least she had things to do. At least her one story wasn't kind of like opening up a mobile phone centre in the laundrette. I know Vinny had more than that, but like, you know, yeah, so she's a meh. And you know what? I was doing it in order of appearances, and the next one should be Cherie, but I'm going to go jump straight into Vinny just because, and I'm going to put him in incidental music. The same reasons as Ash, but had less to do in the year. So there. As I mentioned, Cherie then. Cherie, such a fun character, and then they destroyed her for seemingly no reason whatsoever other than to get rid of her. It's a shame what they did with Cherie, and it was unnecessary. I wish that they but then what they did again, no aftermath. What Cherie did, sell the salon, then ended up being not a problem anyway, because then Denise got the salon back anyway via Phil. Of course she did. Of course it was Phil. Of course it had to be a Mitchell related. So Cherie should be at least a mare, but sadly isn't, and I'm going to put her as incidental music, sadly. Now, the biggest surprise of them all is Tom, or Rocky. When they announced him, I was really ready to go in not liking him, and he's really surprised me, and the stories have been quite interesting with him, you know, quite good fun. They're a little bit convoluted, a little bit like, really, but overall, not bad at all. And Brian Connolly's playing an absolute blinder. Let's be honest, credit where credit is due. Brian Connolly really has played him very well. So, for me, he is going to go into Sharon's 1995 exit? I think the squeak says it all, doesn't it, in my voice? Yes, Sharon's 1995 exit. I'm not disliked the character at all. Really not disliked the character at all. Another character I don't dislike, but again, they're not doing anything with, and I can quickly bash out quite quickly, is Shirley. I mean, whenever they give her something to do, I enjoy it. She has those very cutting one-liners. Everyone seems to enjoy them. But she's not really done anything. So, meh. So, Mitch. I just don't like Mitch at all as a character. I find him flawed, but not in an interesting way. I hate that he seems to just think that he can just give out wisdom to people, and everyone's kind of like, oh, Mitch, some kind of guru. I just don't like him. He's not really done anything for me that's been of any interest whatsoever. I think it's unfair to pitch him as Liam's really lowered the lower tier this year. Like, he's like really lowered it. I mean, we've had people in lower tier, but no one matches Liam. Incidental music, pop him in there, why not? Bernie, meh. Left for such a weird reason as well. Like, I want my baby, so I'm going to leave with her now. Well, him, I don't know. Did we ever find out the sex of Bernie's baby? Comment below if we did. Jay's a character, and again, there's so much more they can do with him, and they just don't do it with him. I don't like his relationship with Honey particularly. At first, I kind of thought, I don't really know why people are getting so angry with it. Now I get it, and it feels a bit strange and weird, him and Honey. You know, they just throw crumbs at him. Maybe I did this last year, but I'm going to put him in better luck next year, because I think that there is stuff they could do with Jay, and I hope they do. There's been some strange decisions with Honey, mainly linked to the Suki storyline, and I don't get it. And that's not to say that I don't think people can explore their sexuality. Of course people can do that. Of course they can, and at any age they can do it. It just doesn't feel like it's their story to have. I'm going to put Honey in meh. I mean, at least she's not doing stories with Billy anymore, you know, that's that's the main thing. Stuart, now, up until November, December time, there was very little we could really say about Stuart. Obviously, his wedding with Rainey, and I always champion Rainey and Stuart. You know, I wanted them to get together in the first place. You know, when they, you know, I could see there was a real potential for their character and a relationship for them together. I love the character of Rainey. Rainey, I mean, if I was going to be completely biased, would be a Julia scene for me, because I just love Rainey as a character, and I don't know why, she just appeals to me for some strange reason. But this isn't about Rainey, although Rainey is next, so I might do them together for Stuart and Rainey. Stuart and Rainey have so much to come, and I see the Vi is in Better Luck Next Year, so I wonder if a good story with them two next year kind of would overturn my opinion of them this year, which it is. So both Stuart and Rainey are going to go into Better Luck Next Year. I want to see them next year in Sharon's 99.5 exit or higher, or else I will riot. Sonia, strange stories with Sonia, really. Again, she's kind of there in the background. I mean, but at least she's had that Rocky story on the show. It's really nice seeing their relationship together. It's strange that they've not done more about her being a nurse, considering the pandemic we're in. But they did a little bit with her, I suppose. So, you know, it's being unfair not to say that she didn't have anything at all. Is she Sharon's 99.5 exit because she was with Tom? No, she's not. She's meh, but that's because I want her to be higher. Better Luck Next Year? Better Luck Next Year. Sonny's going to go in Better Luck Next Year. Right, so earlier I said that Liam has pretty much made Wolford CCTV the lowest it's ever been in the history of me doing a tier list. And I don't think it's out of place to say that Peter Bill deserves to be in that either. Just unlikable. Really hard to kind of focus on any story with him. Unlike Aaron, where he's unlikable, but you kind of enjoy that unlikableness of him. Peter, I just do not. And every time he's on screen, I kind of sigh a little bit. It's like he's not even doing anything really, is he? What is his story at the moment? He's bought vegan meat off Tom and he's being duped. And in a way, I'm championing Tom for this one, because I like that Tom is clearly much smarter than Peter. And also, they're making him like his dad, Ian. Which, okay, yes, I suppose they're obviously the family. Peter never really ever was like that. He always tried to not be like his dad. So why is he now trying to step into his shoes? Don't know, don't understand. Anyway, Wolford CCTV for him. Bobby, love Bobby. Bobby's such a sweet character, and I love him with Dana. Every time he's on screen, he genuinely lights it up. And his interactions with Aaron have been great. The Monroe family have been perfect for him. I know I put Dana in Better Luck Next Year, and I suppose in theory I should put them both in the same section, but actually I liked Bobby I really liked Bobby this year. So I'm going to pop Bobby in Sharon's 995 exit. There you go, I've dropped it in. What are you going to do about it? Comment below or make your own tier list. Billy Mitchell, I mean, I don't have time for Billy Mitchell. I find him really boring. He's got nothing to do. He's the same story as he had last year. He's trying to win Honey back. Same story he had last year. It's the same story he's had since he broke up with Honey, let's be honest. So what, the last 3, maybe 4 years? Just goes on and on and on. It's an endless cycle. He's not a bad character, so he's certainly not Wolford CCTV, but he's not an interesting character, so he goes into incidental music with Mitch, which actually seems quite appropriate, so there you go. Patrick's had a good year this year, actually. Really interesting, and it's been really fun to see him be a family unit with Kim and Denise, and then with the Cherie story as well. I found it quite interesting, his interaction with him, and with Isaac as well. Shane Isaac's story wasn't perfect, but with Patrick on board, it felt better. And you know what? I think he deserves to be up in Sharon's 99.5 exit. That's right, I do. And it's nice to have an older, long-standing character on the show, and they're trying to get Vi together with Patrick. So they're obviously trying to give them that kind of older, wiser, maybe slightly comic spin of having an older character on there. He does it well. So yeah, Sharon's 99.5 exit. Now, Karat, on the basis of my personal feelings of him, should be Julie's Theme and high. Julie's Theme Plus should be Karat. But sadly, it's not been a particularly great year for him, as I said earlier, or the Panesars. I feel bad because I'm going to say on the strength of him being high, he should be Sharon's exit, but he's not. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pop him in Better Luck Next Year, because he certainly deserves more, as do all the Panesars. 2021 was meant to be their year. It wasn't. 2022 should definitely be their year. Do not pass off the chance of making this family amazing, and add more to them if you need to. There's their dad, an easy win there. Surely to bring him in would be an easy win. So Better Luck Next Year for Karat. I like Dottie, but they don't seem to do anything with her. Even when they brought Tom back, her story feels so weak. I mean, Dottie's mum's been introduced, so maybe there's that path for her to kind of like split off from Tom and become a story of her own. Echoes of Nick and Dot for Dottie and her mum. So Better Luck Next Year. or a meh? I don't know. I just don't know what's going to happen with Dottie next year. So meh for now. Callum. I mean, he started off the year with us being reminded every 5 seconds that he's a police officer. The Mitchells weren't very happy about him being a police officer because, you know, you don't want a copper in the family, you know, blah, blah, blah. He's done things that he shouldn't have done as a police officer, which we knew was going to happen. And now the year's gone on, Callum's police status has kind of just slowly been forgotten. Apart from, again, every now and then hearing that he needs to go on a shift later. Whether they're going to just kind of like slowly forget that he's a police officer or they get him into a whole new occupation again, he's like something happens to him. Oh, that's unfair, actually. He did have that story where his... oh, God, the ball and merry-go-round. His partner got stabbed, and so his partner gave him the ring to give to his work partner, I should say, not Ben. Gave him a ring for his partner's girlfriend. Ben got jealous. Another jealousy story. They didn't talk to each other. Then they talked to each other and everything got sorted out and everything was fine. Blah, 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 blah. The ball and merry-go-round goes round and round and round. Never seems to stop. He's just meh. I just can't. I just can't anymore. I'm tired. Last year I was really gushing about Jack. I was really like obsessed with the fact that I completely changed my opinion on him. Like I really couldn't stand him. And I think I really leapt him up. I think I leapt him up to Sharon's 99.5 theme. Exit, sorry. And like I shocked myself. But this year he's kind of not really done very much. He's marrying Denise and I love Denise. So I'm pleased about that. Yeah, he's not really done much this year, I'm afraid to say. So he's going to be popped into there, just popped in there, just to, you know, keep his seat warm maybe next year for Sharon's 99.5 exit. So here is the honourable mention. It's Casey Lewis. I mean, she wasn't in 10 episodes, which is why she's an honourable mention, but she missed last year's tier list because she was she was in it right at the very end of the year, and we record this in the middle of December, and then she was only in 8 episodes this year, but I had to mention her because I loved her. The story with her and Mick, again, I was worried was going to be a bit sensationalized. Perhaps it was, but I didn't feel like it was. And the court scenes that she had with Mick, and just oh my goodness, the fact that they bubbled her and Danny Dyer up, the way they fought it out, they battled it out between them, and she carried on playing Mick and manipulating him, but eventually he broke through. Oh, just honestly brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Really enjoyed those scenes. So that's why she's an honourable mention, and that's why she's going to go into Sharon's 99.5 exit. I mean, I would be more than happy for her to come back to the show. It just depends whether they can, I suppose, whether they find a way an in for her. But I would love her to come back. I would be happy for her to come back. Bring her back if they can. Keegan, him and Tiff were fine. I mean, they broke up. There was him being stupid and sleeping with Dottie. Yeah, there was him winning the Sandwich Award or whatever it was, like the Small Shop Owners of the Year Award, and obviously him getting into debt because of Tiff and her cosmetic surgery. I mean, it was fine. It was nice to see young people's stories, I suppose, but nothing kind of earth-shattering. So for that reason, he goes in meh. There you go. Pop you in there into meh. But again, it'd be nice to see if there's any more to come with him. Next up, Lola. Again, a character that kind of has grown on me. When she first brought back into the show, I wasn't particularly keen, didn't really see the reason why, but you know, she's had some great moments. Her and Isaac are a nice couple together. I can enjoy them together. Her interactions with Lexi are fun. Nothing like that would change the world, but at the same time, she's there. She's been there, stable. Off she goes into Mare. Chelsea. I do love the character Chelsea, and it's being played brilliantly. I love her. Absolutely love her. She had a really dodgy entrance, and now they've put her together with Gray. For that reason, I'm putting her into Better Luck next year, because I think there's a really interesting story with her and Gray coming up, and Whitney as well. So yeah, that'd be good. Isaac, yeah, good story with schizophrenia. I think it could have been done slightly better, but then who am I to say? I'm just a sad old person on YouTube. He doesn't thrill me, and sometimes I feel a little bit empty with this occasional time on screen, but that's unfair actually, because there's been some real moments where I've really kind of felt connected as well, but not done anything that's really got me super excited just yet. And I hope they don't forget what happened to him this year, and they can work with it and maybe just to grow on that story of his schizophrenia. Again, a story, an interesting story that they could grow on and learn more about. Could easily be stretched out as a B or C story in the background, happening as we go along. You know, a bit like Mark Fowler's AIDS storyline. Like, it was always just bubbling along. It was always just there. You know, I wouldn't be upset if they occasionally you saw Isaac talking to a doctor about how he's feeling, if he's feeling a little bit low, if there's signs that he might be going back into that kind of danger area. I hope more comes of it, but for now he's meh. Which I know I can hear the screaming already. It's like, oh my god, how dare you put him in meh? You don't see the story that he had last year. Did you not see it? And yes, I did. Of course I did. But it was a meh for me, okay? Calm down. Make your own tier list. Comment below. Do what you like. Just stop, okay? Frankie. Absolutely adore Frankie. She's trying to make a relationship with Mick. All the rest of them are kind of like watching from the sidelines. Linda, Nancy and Shirley kind of watching on, trying their best to try to integrate her into the family, which has been quite interesting. I like her interactions with other cast members as well. She's really fitted into the story. Considering she was just there, just kind of like help Ben's death storyline. You know, I champion her. I stan her all the way. And I think she's got real big things to come next year, especially on the strength of a win of a certain reality competition show. I don't want to judge her for this year. I want to say that she's going to have more next year. So that Better Luck Next Year is more kind of like, I cannot wait to see what's going to come up next year with you. As is a lot of the people in the Better Luck Next Year category this year. Suki, again, I mean, I'm going to go on and on the fact that the Panesars should have had more to do this year. But I am going to talk about the story with Honey. I just don't get it, and it's almost, I don't know, it's done something to what Suki once had, the power, the dominance that she once had for me. Maybe it's deliberate, maybe they've done it on purpose, maybe it's a nice way to build her back up again, perhaps, I don't know. I feel like I maybe should put her in Better Luck Next Year, because maybe there's more than we can say about her with the Panesars. So I'm going to put Suki in Better Luck Next Year with her son Karat. I'm sure there's more that we can get from her. Very hopeful. Zach has been a real nice addition. Again, a bit of a surprise. Interaction with Sharon has been great, has been fun. With Frankie, a good story. I wish they put her back together with Nancy, because him and Nancy were a great couple and they deserve to be together. I think Better Luck Next Year. Better Luck Next Year? I don't know. He's not quite achieved Sharon's 995 exit, but I don't think it's fair that he's been, if I give him a mare. So he's going to go Better Luck Next Year. Gosh. It's gonna need some thinking out, I think, next year. It's gonna need some planning. Ruby had a horrendous year, and they really destroyed the character Ruby, and I didn't like it. And I'm gonna pop her in incidental music because I can't see immediate comeback next year for her. So she's going to go in incidental music, because I just didn't really enjoy anything that happened with her this year. Jean, there was that long-standing does she or doesn't she have cancer story. They spun that out for so long. Again, too long, far too long. Although there's potential for more, she's a meh for today. Nancy, another returning character, and I'm so glad they brought Nancy back. Really great. Whether they're going to build up more of the Carters with Lee, maybe. There's rumours, perhaps, maybe. I don't know. Who knows? When Nancy came back, it was great. She's almost like the kind of like the watcher of the Carters. Now Linda's had to go for a little while. She's, again, not done enough to get into Sharon's 995 exit. Not fair for me to say she's a meh. So next year, she's going to have lots to do. I guarantee it. Karen has just kind of been in the sidelines, kind of just smoking and making the occasional rude comment. Not really done anything. I mean, meh. And I don't know what they can do with Karen, because basically her whole family has been decimated. So I worry about her. So we'll just have to see. Tiff exited this year as well. And I would love to give her Julie's theme the same way as I given Kush one. However, I think it was the right time for her to go, and she can return. So it's not like she can't return like Kush. She can return. There is a potential for her to return. I relish her return with baby, I'm sure. So I'm going to give Tiff a Sharon's 995 exit, because she had a Sharon's 995 exit. It wasn't great, but it was good, and I enjoyed it. And yeah, bring her back. Bring her back. in a couple of years' time, if the actress wants to, because if you recast her, then you will ruin her. Next up, Kim Fox. I'm loving the Vincent story with her, actually. Really enjoying the Vincent story with her. And the scenes with her and Phil, I mean, it's just mad how well they work together. But then I suppose last year I think I gushed how well Ben and Phil work together. When given the right material, Phil is actually a very interesting character to see on screen. When he's not shouting and smacking people about and threatening people, he's actually a really interesting character to see. His softer side, the soft Phil. I want more of Kim next year. They make her a comedy character, and that's what winds me up. Stop making her a comedy character all the time. It's great that she can lighten the scene, don't get me wrong, but she doesn't need to do it all the time. I'm going to put her in Sharon's 1995 Exit because, again, I love the character of Kim as well, so I'd be happy to see more of her, and I enjoy her. Denise is also a character I love, and they've really built her up, and they've done it well. I love the relationship between her and Kim as well, and Patrick. I wonder if the Foxes can make a triple and make a triple Fox in Sharon's 1995 Exit. I'm not sure if Denise has quite done enough for that. But then the scenes with her and Kim are so nice to see, so emotional. And with Chelsea, and when they brought Lucas back as well. She had a lot going on this year. I'm going to make it a triple threat up there in that second tier with Sharon's 1995 Exit. Really enjoy the Fox Hubbard story as a family, I guess. Ben Mitchell's coming up next. Callum I put as mayor. I mean, I don't think Ben's done particularly any more than Callum or done any less than Callum. Again, at me if you want to. I'm sure I'm wrong. But no, mayor, I just... the wedding. Sorry, I should have brought up the Ballon wedding. I actually was very excited to see, and they should have waited and been able to do it much better than they did. Maybe Ballon fans agree or disagree with me, but I think that could have been done better. But yeah, no, mayor. Kathy. So last year, controversially, I put Kathy in Julia's theme, and a lot of people did get a little bit upset with that, saying that you shouldn't just plant someone in there just because, you know, they're an icon and they're just the fabric of the show. So I'm not going to do that this year because, let's be honest, Kathy hasn't done a lot this year, other than kind of just hanging around. She's not incidental music. She's a mayor. So Kathy goes in mayor this year. A real fall from grace, but that's not my fault, Kathy. Blame people who had a go at me. Whitney, I love Whitney. I do love the character of Whitney. I thought it was such a shame they rushed her relationship with Kush. They rushed it so bad. Well, obviously just for his exit. But I like Whitney. They killed Kush so that Whitney could get together with Gray, and then almost had an afterthought. It was like, no, actually we don't want to do that. We want Whitney to be kind of like the investigator, the Sherlock Holmes for the case with Laura the lawyer. So we're gonna break them up, and now she's made an enemy with Gray. And to be fair, just because the fact that she's pretty much pissed Gray off, I'm going to put her in Sharon's 1995 Exit because anyone who annoys Gray is a friend of mine. And also Whitney sang for no reason apparently, and then again Gray kept her back from going on a cruise ship and starting a career in the music industry, again, for apparently no reason whatsoever. So, win. Talking of Gray, here's Gray. Not an interesting character for me. They should have ended it at least a year ago. Completely ruined any kind of strength or potential they ever had with domestic abuse awareness by making him a serial killer. Absolutely ridiculous. Tempted to put him in Wolford CCTV. In fact, he should definitely go in Wolford CCTV because you know why? Because he has some kind of power with Wolford CCTV that it just disappears. So he can just disappear in Wolford CCTV as far as I'm concerned. Linda kind of had that affair with Max and then left. Next year she will come back with a bang. So better luck next year. Come on, Linda, come back and entertain us, please. Kat Slater, I mean, her relationship with Phil is a strange one. Whether they're going to carry it on, I'm not too sure. But then she's got a lot of connections now with Phil because basically everything she owns or works for is connected to Phil or the Mitchells in one way or another. She's had some lovely moments this year, I must say, with Phil being like his kind of softer side, his angel on his shoulder. I am going to put her as mayor, but I want her to not be mayor next year. Talking of Phil Mitchell, yeah, I mean, Phil Mitchell is Phil Mitchell, isn't he? I mean, he just kind of stomps around. He's had some, like I said, he's had some real gems of moments this year with Kim, with Ben, with Kat, actually. He's had some nice moments with Kat. But nothing groundbreaking, so it's just been normal Mitchell fodder, so let's just pop him in there. Coming up now is Martin. Martin had the story with Ruby, and as soon as that was over, he was pretty much over for the rest of the year, which was a bit of a shame. I mean, he's... is he meh? Yeah, I'm gonna put him in there. Go on then, off you go. Now, Sharon, again... Controversially, I put her in Julia's team last year, but I don't think she's had an awful year. They've cleaned up the mess that was her trying to kill off Ian. Just about, I feel. I think she did eventually finally have it out with Phil that, you know, it's also partially your fault. My son died, so stop trying to palm it off and making me kill people all the time. I've quite enjoyed her stories when Dennis's child has now appeared out of nowhere. I really like her interaction with Zach, and I like Sharon. I really enjoy Sharon, and she's got a gym and she's doing things and she's going up in the world. And so I'm going to put her in her own exit from 1995 because I just like watching Sharon on screen. So, you know, moan at me if you like, but she's a Sharon's 995 exit. And finally, on this very long list this year is Mick Carter. I mean, he's kind of hung around after Linda left. Sometimes I get a bit frustrated that they just seem to always give him something to do. Also, I'm a little bit upset that they're kind of been leaning toward a storyline with him and Janine, maybe having an affair. We don't know that for certain. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. We don't know. The stuff with Katie was fantastic. You know what? His start of the year was great, and he's never really done anything that's offended me. So he's above Mare, and he's going to go in to sit right next to Sharon there in Sharon's 995 exit. And that is my tier list. There it is in full glory right there for you all to see. As I said, I'm going to sum up now saying that there's a lot of people in Better Luck Next Year on my tier list. And that doesn't surprise me because I think that they really didn't know what to do with so many people this year. And they were so keen to do such over-the-top new stories that they just seem to forget the ones that were there. And I think next year that there's potentially a lot more to come. They've made so many mistakes this year, and Kush literally just sucking the soul out of me when they decided to kill him. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with that tier list. And as I say, if you don't agree with me, you can make your own tier list. Don't forget to watch Ben and Rob's tier list as well. You can find it on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell, like the videos, listen to our podcast, which is out every Sunday on your favourite podcast apps, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or on YouTube, where you can watch the video podcast. And thank you for joining me. And don't forget, same time next year, we'll be doing this all again. Bye.